Welcome to another edition of Motley Croc Show. It's Thursday, July 6th. I'm glad everybody made it through July 4th because there's a lot going on out there. I don't know if you saw that, but a lot of people hurting themselves. I guess I saw some stuff on the news and I started reading about it. I thought it was pretty funny. Anyways, behind the scenes, I've got the Manic Satanic waiting. And don't forget, at 8:30, what's up, buddy? At 8:30, Ben Register from Gatorama is going to come on. He happened to hatch a with your crocodile, so I'm kind of excited to talk to him. Brett's on his way in. Brittany's on his way in, and maybe Jimmy. So we're going to see what's going on with us tonight, man.
Full house today.
Going? Good.
How you been, man?
I'm living, dude. I'm just staying ahead of the game. I'll get into all that when we get moving and going and making sure. Let's see what we got. Make sure the comments. If anybody's up and if you can comment, say you're here, go ahead.
Yep.
I'd be glad to have you. You know, it's always early. There's always few people because the live stream's a live stream. It doesn't start picking up till later, but it's always good to have you. Jeff, how's your week been?
It's been good, man. I worked a lot. I was supposed to work the 1st through the 4th. I worked the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. It was insanely busy. ER nights.
Any accidents with fireworks? Because that's kind of why I put that.
I didn't see any accidents with fireworks. I saw some other weird stuff, though, man. With trying to keep it inside HIPAA laws. I had a guy that came in as he came in listed as a trauma. He wasn't a trauma, but I guess they found him in his car jerking off, but unresponsive to commands or time and place.
Only on this show. Show.
Totally not oriented at time and place. And they brought him in. He ended up buying a tube. He got intubated. And as far as I know, he's still on the ventilator. A couple gunshot wounds this week. Some car accidents, obviously some drunk driving shit.
Because people are crazy out there.
ODs, yeah. It's been that kind of week. It's holiday weekend. Everybody's having
I love it, man. I love it. So, we got to take all the good with the bad, right? I mean, that's all part of the whole routine.
Absolutely. So it was a couple good nights. And then I got canceled on the 4th. So I ended up getting the night off, but they gave me paid time off. So
you got canceled?
Yeah. Well,
I'm going to get canceled.
They had too many people on. We only needed 10. They had 15, and they asked if maybe we wanted to be canceled. And since I had, PTO accrued, they're like, you could just take a paid time off day. I was like, fuck it, let's do it. So I got paid to stay home.
I like it.
Yeah, it was awesome, man. It was good. Good,
sounds good, man. I'm glad we've all had kind of a crazy week. We'll get into that too. Brittany's been out of town. She's popped in the back, and so she was out at Roswell giving a long speech. I watched what I could of it live.
Oh, that's right. I didn't get to see that yet.
It's there. It was pretty cool. So we definitely want to bring Bumblebee. What's up, B?
What's up, Hi, guys. How are you?
The B-Rat Invasion. And
how you doing?
We got Sideswipe. Brett, what's up, buddy?
What's up, bud?
What's going on, guys?
How are you?
Brett.
And, what's good?
Was Roswell top of the screen there for a minute. Anyways, Brittany, tell us. Now we'll get into it later when we have more people come on. We'll have more people come in.
Hey, what's up, Dan?
Hi, Dan.
Dan, what's happening, buddy? And let's see. Yeah, cool. So people can comment. Brett, how's the weather?
Up and down. A lot of rain.
It looks like there's like an alien spacecraft coming in behind you. I feel like I'm doing an interview, where they black it out and you're like, I saw it on September 10th.
Oh, yeah.
The alien entered the room and he was in his underwear. Shit like
that.
Crazy.
It does look like that, Brett, because it looks like it's like nighttime, but there's like this big light coming through the window.
It's been so weird out here. It's weird. The other day, I'll send you a video, Troy.
Okay.
The weather out here is so crazy. Like at night, if it's raining at night, it just sounds like a big gravel truck. Like there's no lightning, there's no nothing, and you just hear this rumble through the sky for 15, 30 minutes at a time. And if you do see lightning in it, I don't know, it just looks weird. They had one the other day. It just dropped a bunch of fog on the ground out of nowhere. Started raining, just dumping water.
Well,
same thing. No lighting. You just hear the thunder. It doesn't stop. It just keeps going, keeps going, and then it just blows away, and it's blue sky.
Sounds like Florida.
Yeah,
it does. Or it sounds like maybe if you ask Brittany, then maybe aliens are coming in and out.
It's just different.
I was wondering, Brittany, on your trip to Roswell. That's where you were, right? Roswell, Area 51, or no, Area 31, Area 12.
No.
Were you on a secret area?
That's out in Nevada. No, I was in Roswell. Yeah.
So you were doing a speech on what? What was all the what'd you end up happen to find out? What was
So
that? What was good? How many people showed up?
The numbers were really good. We had, I think it was over 10,000 was the number in town, which is huge for Roswell.
Nice.
Yeah. So the turnout was really good. I did a lecture Saturday and Sunday afternoon, both days, for 1 hour on Catalina Island hotspots and USO activity.
Nice. Was the Catalina wine mixer going on, or?
Yeah, no, no, but it was really funny because I didn't anticipate so many people wanting to come in to listen to that, being that it was like the Roswell Festival. So I would assume that I would have been like on the bottom of the totem pole, but each day I had 60 people. Every seat was filled. So that was really nice for the lectures.
That's awesome.
And then the evenings were the Roswell panels, to where I sat on the panel with 5 other gentlemen who actually kind of started the initiative of getting the ball rolling for Roswell. Okay. So the Roswell panels, we spoke for 2 hours each evening, answering questions and basically talking about Roswell from A to Z, like whatever the question was pertaining to past to present, whatever. They were very long and very long-winded questions.
So anything new in that world? I mean, are we going to be seeing some spacecrafts come in, and are we going to be like partying in some spaceships?
There was a lot of development over the weekend that were happening, even with Dawn and myself and Ben, our investigative partner. We have some new stuff that is coming to light as far as some of the locations of the crash sites. They are getting ready for another dig, but they're also getting ready for some other stuff that's going on. I know Don is setting up. He's got a couple meetings with ICER, which is basically international. It's right now it's 30. I think he now has 34 countries involved, and it's basically a push for disclosure of all UFO activity in all the different countries. But a lot of development happened on that front. Then there was development between a connection of Catalina Island and Roswell, which I uncovered it Saturday night, and then I kept researching it on Sunday morning, and then I was able to pull documentation from the newspapers of this actual account. So that was actually really cool, because if it's correct, it means that the crash in Roswell, the one object, would have been a part of a fleet of more than one, and it all happened within a couple of days heading off towards the coast, and were seen by multiple witnesses. So that was really cool. That was a huge kind of big development that I got to drop at the lecture on Sunday at my lecture. And then I got to meet a lot of military gentlemen, retired military gentlemen that wanted to share a lot of accounts with me that they had on base in their earlier years. One was a Marine. I had 2 Army. One was Navy. A lot that they had experienced and wanted to take a few minutes of my time. So I never even really got to take any pictures with anyone. People were taking pictures with me, like running up and be like, "Oh, we haven't seen you. Want to get a picture with you?" But
I saw that in the live feed. I'm like, "Dang, Brittany's on a picture."
Yeah, I didn't take, and I felt so bad. So you know me, I'm always so outgoing and bubbly, and I'm like, "Yeah, let's get a picture." And I'm like leaning in, all happy. And then like at the end of the day, I even turned to Don. I was like, "I didn't take a single picture with anybody." Like I went down to the convention center, got to meet all of the other speakers that were down there, and I didn't take a single photo myself. And I'm like, "Well, shoot." I don't have a single photo of me. So I'm glad that I was able to set up my tripod for at least one of the lectures. It wasn't the most exciting. Saturday night's lecture would have been a lot better. It was a more drilled question, quick question turn.
All right, so let me say, I was talking with Ashley Lawrence earlier, and she sent me a video that I forget the guy that you don't really care for. He makes money off people. He meditates with them in his underwear in the desert.
Stephen Greer.
Okay.
Yeah. Because he's actually been noted as a fraud on multiple accounts.
That's what I thought. Mm-hmm. And I was watching, I was watching the stuff he was saying, and sometimes like
allegedly. Let me throw that back out there so I'm not allegedly he's been quoted as a fraud.
Yeah, no, I was reading some of that stuff about him, like, but it seems like so I got a little interested.
That's the slander killer right there.
Yeah, whatever. I mean, but if you got a niche and there's always a goober that's going to pay you to be their leader. I mean, come on, Brett, you know what I'm talking about. I've seen it in big buildings across this. But at the end of the day, I think that when they come out, it was like they were like these weird people that follow him, and like, oh, and we gotta, they collect marbles and they can connect, and then they leave their body and visit with these amazing aliens. But the stuff he was talking about today was more along like, oh well, they're so advanced, and we've sent shockwaves or something out into space, and we've affected other things. Or if something comes by, we blow it away or whatever. It was something along those lines, and that they're so powerful. If they wanted to punch back, the Earth would disappear. Now, I don't think he's ever been to space, and I'm not sure where he gets his research. But there are other people who've gone to space. Like it or not, there's a lot of people out there that we do or don't like.
Right.
And I like to hear people who are intelligent. Like, so let me just say this: if you are working in that field and you're extremely good at what you do and you're a millionaire, I'm not going to sit in my double wide trailer and talk shit about you doing sucky things when you're achieving, right? Like, I get that all the time. The things I do, they're always like, oh, or they could be like, well, Jeff doesn't know what he's talking about with lungs. He doesn't know. That kind of shit is not right when you do something for a living, right? So we should. What's up? What's up, David Zeke?
Hey, what's up, David?
And then he was saying stuff, and all these people were kind of weird, but there's other people that say that we do have contact, or they've been coming back and forth, or there's some that aren't as advanced yet. They're just as far away as we are from them, and they're just kind of like us, which is a believable thing. I mean, and then Einstein, he talked about bringing the space and time together and just jumping over. Well, maybe somebody else figured that out too, or it's already been done. I mean, there's no telling anymore because nothing's black and white. And when you're growing up and you're watching movies like Star Wars and shit, and you're like, man, that's so cool if it was real. But I really think a lot of that is real. I think there's a lot of things going on, just to keep business as usual. To me, I think it's like you got to figure an ant pile. When you kick the ant pile, dude, you fuck everything up for a while. They rebuild, but you fuck it up. So I think they're like, they're just flicking little specks of dirt off the ant pile here and there and feeding us what they want to know, what they want us to know. That's what I think.
Makes sense.
I mean, so that you know what's going on. I mean, in a little bit at a time. And it's just funny that if you go back to early movies and things, a lot of that stuff that they're doing in movies, like, I was talking to Jeff one time, like, Time Cop, he pretty much had an iPad.
Right.
He would jump back in time and he would swipe, dude, and look at these people he had to get.
He was on Time Tender.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Right, exactly. And then now, as we get older, by the year 2007, the iPhone was released,
Mm-hmm.
And then you have the iPhone, and you're doing that. You're like looking at your friend's Facebook, and you're going online, you're swiping. And then you take it, and I've kept almost every iPhone I've ever had, and I've had them from the beginning series, right? And I line them up, and you look at them, and the technology is unbelievably different from 2007 to today. Like, I mean, unbelievably different, and it hasn't even been that long.
Even in 2007, they said they had more technology and capability than the first lunar lander.
Exactly, right. And then remember, by the third generation, now you had like 3 million megapixel. You could take pictures with this little phone, and now your FaceTiming is all introduced, and droids start hitting the market, and then all this stuff started coming out. So I mean, the technology that so I already think that what we're looking at now, they've already had way before that, and now it's coming in. And was out here at the 4th of July, and one of the officers that live in the neighborhood, one of the FWC officers that live in the neighborhood, stopped by to talk to me, and we got to talking, and he was in the military, and he all the stuff he was talking about, that classes they took, and what these phones put out, and they can actually when you hear about people taking batteries out of the phone and burning the whole thing, but if you just turn your phone off and the battery's still in there, that they can access you and just listen to what you're saying if they want to.
Well, they could certainly ping your phone,
right? And he's like showing us all this stuff that they did, and I'm like, wow, dude, wow.
Yeah,
we can't yet, but there are people that can.
Back in the bounty hunting days, we used to ping people's phones all the time when it was still legal to do so, and you could, I mean, even then, you could narrow them down to at least within a half a block or a couple of houses, so it was easy to find people. But you could do it when the phone's off. You could actually remote turn the phone on and then ping it.
Yeah, that's what he was saying, and they do that all the time. They can actually turn the microphone on and listen to your entire conversation, even if the phone's off. So you have to take the battery out. You have to get rid of everything, and that was just because of terrorism.
You do that on an iPhone.
Yep. And even back then, when any type of phone that they're using, I mean, I just, and then you have satellite phones. I think doesn't John have a satellite phone?
Yeah, we have. Yeah, when he goes
John
on
has
the
a
phone,
satellite
yeah.
phone for business because he's always traveling the world. So, he could wake up in London one day and Australia the next, and in Hong Kong, and he's all over. So
It's a lot of travel right there. That's some serious miles.
he's a
He
traveler.
He goes wherever his work tells him he's got to be.
Right.
But what you were saying though, Troy.
Hey, what's up, Ben?
That's right, Ben. Ben will be here again at 8:30. We'll be bringing Ben in tonight. Looking forward to seeing him.
Tweet.
No, but what Troy was saying too is like this was part of the discussion that we had on the panel, and like we were discussing, excuse me, was the fact that there are so many different theories of are they on other planets living and coming and visiting, getting materials or or minerals they need on their planet that their planet no longer offers, but they need it for their systems and for them to thrive and survive. And then there's also the future presence of these aliens are actually from the future. It's us evolved and we come back to get what we need and go back. That's why a lot of the materials match what we have today, but are off on certain elements in the table. And then the one, basically what we were pushing and discussing was the fact that when the article of Roswell first came out, it said we got one. And I know that for the longest time, the military really wanted to get one of these vessels. So the fact that they had one, it then became a quick study of, we have no idea what this is. We have no idea. There was alleged claim that it could have been even like a release pod from the actual craft that was bad just to save the bodies. But it's interesting because I feel like, and even up until date, we're constantly being desensitized. And by doing so, we're being desensitized through everything, through media, what's okay, what's not, whatever. And I think that they are pushing the idea of extraterrestrial in the wrong direction for fear control. And there are certain concepts of films that have come out over the years that were not fear driven when making contact with extraterrestrial. It was
like
showing
Contact?
that like Contact, like Close Encounters, like ET, that were being done strategically to prepare us to let us know that they're not all hostile. They're a lot like us. There's going to be good ones. There's going to be bad ones. And I think it was a desensitized way of like preparing the public, because if you would have come out in the 50s and said, okay, guess what, everybody, we're not alone in the universe, all hell would have broke loose. The 50s was not ready for that type of information. The mentality was not the right time. But now, because of the fact that everyone has a phone, has media, has everything accessible at their hands, and because of sci-fi being such a drive in society, it's really desensitized us a lot to the idea of extraterrestrial coming here. But that's also driven through another source to prepare us. I think that they've already known that this was coming. And the easiest way to do it, instead of having the president come out and be like, hey, everybody, aliens are real, the best way to do it is to prepare through media, through television, through entertainment, to where we go, well, not all of them are bad. And we already know this. We know there's good and bad and otherwise, and that was the biggest thing that Travis Walton, because he was actually there with us. He was speaking with me at the.
Who was that, Brittany?
Travis Walton. So he was the gentleman that was abducted in the 70s, and they made a movie called Fire in the Sky after him.
I remember that movie. It scared the crap out of me because they put something in his eyeball.
Oh, yeah. I remember that movie. It was awesome.
In his eyeball.
So
that was a creepy movie.
Yeah, I mean, he's 70. He was there. His wife was with him. And
that's
awesome. The biggest thing when he does his lectures, he speaks on is that there were some fabrication and fluffing done in the film based off of his experience. Obviously, they do that. But it was still traumatizing in the sense of for him, he was in the wrong place at the wrong time. He shouldn't have got out of his truck. He talks about, I shouldn't have gotten out of my truck. I shouldn't have tried to go. I don't think it was purposeful that they went to purposely grab me. It wasn't like they sought after him. It was him and several others up there, basically doing their job. But again, they took his film and they made it to where it was very real for us to understand. But the fact that we can actually hear it from him as the person that was abducted and experiencing it was really cool, because it gives you a whole different perspective all the way around of like that whole journey.
It's not far-fetched, because we do the same thing to animals or lesser species, throughout time, more advanced man was doing it to less advanced man at the time too. They used them or tested. I mean, there was a lot of that going on. So that's not one of the films I really liked, especially when it comes to like Well, two of them actually. One of the things that I liked about Close Encounters of the Third Kind is when they finally came out in the end, their craft opened. That little kid ran out, but that little kid had been missing since 12, 13
and all
years.
the pilots.
Yeah,
And
and they all came out, but they were the same age as when they were abducted.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't age. And the little kid wanted to go back, and the mother went back with them, and they climbed back on the ship, and some people left, right? Then you have Close Encounters of the Force Kind. Now, that movie was insane.
I never saw that one.
That was insane. And then I'm a big fan of Christopher Walken, so I did like Communion. I thought that was a really well done film. Very twisted, mind twisting, but good to say the least. But in the very beginning of the movie Prometheus, which is a series based off the Aliens trilogy, or 4 or 5 of them, wherever they came out with, but I always think of the first 3. In the beginning, humans were like we were talking Brett Nephilim size.
Mhm.
And so when they poured that DNA into that stream, I mean, that was basically that planet getting DNA to start over, because those arachnid, exoskeleton type acid pumping aliens infested them. So it wouldn't be too far fetched. That movie wasn't far fetched as far as, advancement, and there could be a cockroach like thing that they picked up. Those aliens that they picked up were not flying around in spaceships. They were a parasite that would get into whatever it was and become it. And that's not far fetched either. You could, you go to another country and you can bring back certain insects or certain animals that aren't good to have in this environment or for the human.
Oh, brain bugs, man.
Yeah.
What's it called? They do it in the animal kingdom, like those. What do they call those wasps that lay their eggs in spiders or whatever? And they give them a brain parasite or something.
Yeah.
Hey, what's up, Merlin? What's up, Seth? If you think about that in the animal kingdom, it can't be that different from us. I mean, obviously we have a much more advanced brain with the capacity to fight and to think and to come up with ways to get rid of parasites, but they're the hardest thing to get rid of. They anti-parasitics are just brutal.
Our biggest downfall is that we assume that we know too much as a society and as scientists and as a whole. And I always get very flustered and frustrated when I hear that some respected scientists will say there is no other life outside of our planet. There's no way that it could be. There's no possibility, blah, 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 blah. And I get frustrated with this because that's actually not true. We, ourselves, how we're designed, we could not thrive on another planet without assistance or help because we were not formed on that planet.
We can't even thrive on some of our planet without assistance. Try going naked in the Antarctica or where the water's 400 degrees. Those crabs are down there having a goddamn party.
That's what I mean. Like we had to adapt to our planet on different levels of elevation and food and resources and so forth. But if I was a life that was born on the moon or on Mars, I would adapt just fine. I would thrive and survive just fine based off whatever the atmosphere was at the time that I was created. And I would look vastly different than how I look on this planet. So
that would be
when you think of like grays, you would obviously think of, oh yeah, that was good too. You would think of like grays living on the moon.
I want to touch on that with Brett too. We talked about it.
It's a great friggin' movie.
Them.
Yeah, there's something about what he was talking about. Couple of things. Like I think people believe what they want to believe, right?
Yeah.
So obviously in my family we have, high up people in the medical like Summer, our sister who works in Durham, North Carolina, in one of the most high-paced hospitals. The stuff that she has to deal with all the time is insane. But I was explaining this, Brett. You guys might understand. For a filterless conversation, I remember during the COVID, the pandemic, when it started to ease up, and people were so scared of the virus and this and that or whatever. And I would go to the store and I'd go to the grocery store, and you see this person that's, 400 pounds, right? Barely putting the cart around, leaning on it, purple legs, 4 sizes shoe too big to release the swelling in the leg. Doritos, 16 packages of bacon, hamburger grease, a Crisco, and then they're wearing a mask. And I think to myself, wouldn't it be rather just to die quick of COVID than to kill yourself with what you're putting in your basket. So these people that act like, oh, I'm going to wear a mask and be safe, but you don't care that you're poisoning your body like at a rapid rate. Now it's starting to show, like if you trip and fall and you scratch your leg, we have to cut it off because you've eaten so many cookies. So, I mean, people, their whole ideology of what they think is real and what they don't think is real, and if there's aliens or gods or monsters or viruses.
I would say there's definitely viruses. The other ones.
What's that?
I would say there's definitely viruses. The other ones.
Well, probably aliens too. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying that at all. I don't.
No, I'm just messing with you, bro.
I totally agree. There's viruses, but why would you be scared of something like that? Not what you're doing. Like I would be scared to lay down. I think my heart would stop and I would die.
I think the fear comes from the fact that they put that out as a high risk factor, just like asthma or anybody. Because if you're that overweight, the chances are your heart's failing and multiple other organ systems are failing. So you're immunocompromised by nature. So you walk out of the house with a huge deficit. And trust me, I know it's all
okay. But then why walk out of the house? Why not send a friend or somebody to get the stuff you're putting in your body? Because they're dying faster. No friends. They're dying faster of their
I see it every day. I'll go into a room where somebody's got COPD, emphysema, heart failure, multiple organ failure, and they're sneaking in the bathroom to smoke, or people are sneaking them in food like Twinkies and
Exactly.
So
some people just don't get it. They just don't get it. It doesn't matter. Even if they get life shock right in their face, they will never change their habits or do anything different. It's ridiculous.
Yeah,
you're right, Merlin. It is. You got to pick through what you're doing.
And yet they'll come in and lay in a bed and refuse treatment that they don't feel like getting, but they'll God forbid you don't bring their meal. Or so it happens a lot that people they still engage in self-deprecating behavior because that's just who they are. And unfortunately, it's very hard to change something like that. So you can put them on a million different diets.
Yeah, but the problem is, let me tell you what I think of that. I think that they're a waste of fucking resources. I think they ruin people's lives like that. Have to go in like there's somebody that's really needing help from, say, Jeff or my sister or a doctor to go in with this motherfucker that doesn't care about his life in the first place, but there's someone that really needs to be around that really tries or something really went wrong, and you waste resources, you waste paramedics' time, you waste the doctors, the nurses, everybody's time, because you know what? If that's your deal, dude, why do you want to these people continually kill themselves, and they're not in there for just COVID. They're in there because, well, you spiked this up because, you're diabetic, but you ate 15 bags of Twinkies. Now you're back in the hospital. Now we have people that really need help, children, elderly people with COVID, and you're wasting our time. And I think people like that are fuck off. I mean, that to me is a waste of time, man.
You don't know the half of it, the wasted resources, especially in emergency medicine. I would say probably 50% of the people that come through on an average night definitely can wait till Monday, or the morning. You get a lot of just stupid stuff, toothaches and, whatever. It's a lot.
I had a friend of mine with cancer, and I used to go into the cancer center with him, and I would see these people that just want to live, man. They just want to be able to get up, have something to eat, and live life, maybe walk their dog or be able to kiss one of their kids. And then you got motherfuckers like that out in the world doing that, and they're always a victim. My daddy didn't love me, so I turned to chicken nuggets. Fuck you, dude. See, to me, that's just a waste of human, dude. You're wasting the gift, the one gift you have of life. I don't care who you follow, what your faith is, or what you do, but your job is to be good to yourself. And if you can't, there ain't anybody on this screen that hasn't had a hard time. Not one of us. Not one of us.
Yep.
But we come together and we make a difference, right? That's not going to happen to me again. I'm going to help this guy. Jeff's going to help this guy. Brett's going to help this person. I'm going to help this girl, that girl. Brittany's going to help. That's what you do. You don't sit around and play victim and then overeat yourself to where you shit your pants and you're stinking up. I don't care about people that
not
much.
Often.
And everybody knows that I don't care that much often. So it does. I'm not, when it comes to that, I'd rather protect animals. I think they're one of the other things we need to worry about on the planet. And I'm not telling people like, oh, I got to do it. Are you against hunting? I'm not against hunting. I'm not against hunting. As a matter of fact, if they keep growing fake meat in petri dishes, I'll start hunting. I'm not going to deal. I'm not going
hunting for a purpose.
Right.
Trophy hunting
I was just going to say
pisses me off.
Trophy hunting.
I'm not talking about like where you just want to kill something because you're paying money to put something in a cage and shoot it. That to me is I mean, you got to be
Yeah.
I mean,
I will say,
you already know they're not even worth giving those people life, Brittany. It's not even worth giving them life.
No, and I'll say this just really quick because this actually just happened to me when I was in Roswell. A colleague of mine came up to me and he was like, "Hey, can you identify this animal? Because apparently it was shot in Tennessee behind my house." And I looked at him like, "That looks like a hyena to me," but it looked like a hyena had bred with a bear. I mean, this thing was massive, really sharp.
Probably.
It was a brown hyena. However, after much research I found out of my own, I took it and I said, "Can I see that photograph? I want to do some deep research." I have my friend Ken, who's also a cryptozoologist, and I just want to look into this because it looks like a hyena to me, like straight off the bat. And there shouldn't be a loose hyena in Tennessee mountains. Come to find out through a long stretch of research, I uncovered through my friend that it actually was a trophy shoot, basically a trophy win from Africa after an 18-day survey. And in this one little town of Africa, they're known as the werewolves because they are a rare genetic breed of brown hyena. And these things have long pointed ears, massive in size. A grown man, he was like about 6'1", put his whole fist inside the mouth of this animal, pulled it back. It was a full trophy shoot. That's all it was. And he was so proud of himself that in 18 days he captured one of Africa's werewolves because this town had been terrorized by these guys. However, on my research journey through this, because of her size and how her teeth looked in the photographs, some of the experts came forward and said it's either she had pups and was scavenging for food to bring back to her pups or she was pregnant. So here's this. I'm sorry, I'm just going to say it. And I don't give a shit out there if you're a trophy.
Oh, here we go.
I don't care.
Yeah, Strap in.
I got Ben. I've got Ben in the back. I'm waiting to bring Ben in. So
yeah, I'm gonna make this point clear.
We got Ben. He's doing it.
You're a nobody because all of a sudden you want to be somebody and go out and shoot an innocent animal. Pisses me off. You want to be a grown man and look like you're all funky dunky and look like you're this big hero. Prove me better by stripping down bare naked and take that animal down with your bare hands. And until you can't do that, then do not go out and take down these beautiful animals because you're pissing me off. The Native Americans, when they would take a deer, they actually would thank the deer for giving its life. So if you can't respect wildlife, then I don't respect you. And there should be, and it should continue to happen, poachers for the poachers. I don't care how many of you you have to blow away, but I'm done with you, and you're done.
Yep. Okay.
Piss me off.
Let's bring in Ben.
All right. So I'm going to bring Ben. I'm going to bring Ben in, man. He's our crocodile guy coming in from Gatorama. And I can see him in the back, and he kind of looks like he's out on a tractor, so I'm impressed. And what's up, Ben?
Hey, what's up, Ben?
What's going on, guys?
How are you doing, buddy?
I'm doing. What else can we do? Now just clearing some land on my property, and my parents are all over the state collecting alligator eggs.
That's right. That's right.
Nice.
Yeah, they've probably collected about 20,000 so far. Can you guys hear me?
I hear you really good, bud.
All right, sweet. Yeah, they probably got 20,000. We're getting ready for a distribution tomorrow. They're going to go to 35 different farms.
Nice.
There's 35 permitted farmers in the state of Florida. And so those eggs.
Your dad's pretty much ahead of all that, isn't he?
What's that? Yeah, my dad's done it for 37 years, 36, maybe 38.
Yep. Alan's amazing. I love Alan.
He's the expert.
He's the expert. Exactly.
Expert.
I don't know. You're getting pretty close hatching all them American Crocs, man.
I know. Beautiful.
I'm just blessed. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just blessed.
Yeah. Well, let's just to give the people who don't know who you are. Ben's family has, and you can. It's how many years now has your family owned the Gatorama alligator farm?
My grandfather bought Gatorama back in 1985 when he retired from the Army as an officer.
Okay.
And he had some inside knowledge that alligators are actually going to be taken off the endangered species list. And so he knew he could farm alligators, have something passed down to his family. Then he realized he bit off more than he could chew. So he asked my mom and dad to come down. My dad got out of the U.S. subs. He was on the nuclear sub. He was a sonar tech. And I learned how to ride my bike and skate my skateboard on the walkway when I was about 4 years old.
right down the middle of between the Crocs and the alligators.
Yeah.
And if y'all haven't been out there, Gatorama's awesome. They've got the largest collection of American crocodiles.
Awesome
I
stuff.
believe
I think
anywhere.
I think I'm sitting on about 100 right now, actually, dude.
I'm
I
happy
saw
for
you posted that. That's crazy. That's awesome.
That's amazing.
I've had the past 3 years. I had 2 good years and 1 bad year. You know, I don't know if it was a weather
What do you
thing
think?
or
What do you
incubation
think changed?
thing.
Have you changed some diet?
I changed the diet, but I've changed the diet for about 3 years. But I incubated at a different temperature last year,
Okay.
and you know it didn't work out, and so I went back to what worked last time. You know, and I hatched out 41, and I got 37 that made it, and we did a breeding loan with another place. So I got 41 2-week-old American Crocs plus the other 30. Yeah, we got a bunch. Finally.
I'm pretty excited about that,
I feel
man.
like I cracked the
I'm
code.
glad for you. You figured
That's
it out.
awesome, man. Congrats.
And, you know, those animals used to be really highly endangered, and I think it's good that you're actually to produce them. Now, you have a couple different lines there, don't you? You have Jamaican. You have the Florida.
We have, me personally, I believe we have the most purebred Jamaican crocodiles in Florida. We do have Florida crocodiles. We did just get some others, so we're gonna try to diversify the, you know, or else they're gonna subdivide them into 17 different species.
Right.
You know what I mean? American Croc's an American Croc.
I mean, I feel the same way,
So.
but obviously some patterns. Some of the Jamaicans, you can go out and look and go. That's
Oh yeah, you can see. You can
I'm
see.
usually smoking weed. You know how it is.
Yeah.
But like I remember
like
when we
the
first
patterns.
when I first started this, there's 16 types of crocodiles.
Okay.
Now how many are there?
Like 26.
Yeah.
Man.
You know.
I remember they started breaking stuff off, and you started getting Sucus, and you started getting Niloticus
Right.
and Sucus, and then, you know, they were splitting this up with that, and then 2 different. I remember it started going like, wow, they're going to change that. That's different, but you know, American
But I guess
crocodiles
if
are
it's-
one of the broadest Crocs across our end of the area.
Yeah.
I mean, they're everywhere, dude. Down in,
Right.
you know, Belize. They swim to Cuba, and they interbreed there with the Cuban Crocs. They're down in Costa Rica. I mean, that's a broad crocodile. That's why I always believed that TikTok in the movie Peter Pan was an American. Always.
Yeah.
And a lot of
I
people
believe
get
that.
confused, Ben. A lot of people go, oh, well, you know, we have saltwater Crocs in Florida like in Australia. I'm like, no, you don't. But a true saltwater crocodile is an American. They're very tolerant of saline, extremely.
Right. But I also hear people say that American crocodiles are like more docile than alligators. I don't believe that.
You would
I think they
definitely
say
be
that
no.
because of the way they act in the wild. They're a little bit different in the wild. Like for instance, they won't if the babies are out, they don't take care of their babies. Once they hatch, they're gone. And when we're doing surveys, and I've been out a few times with the Croc Dog, it's amazing. If you ever get a chance to do that, anybody watching.
Yeah, I'd love to get down there with them one day.
Yeah, they are amazing, and they know. And what I always thought was neat was you're going out on these islands in the middle of the Keys in this beautiful blue water, man, right at sunset. And these mad crocodiles hear the boats coming, and they fly off the cloud. They're just way off out in the water, and then we'll go up there and they do the nest work and stuff. And you know, you just don't have a lot of super aggression out of them like you do alligators in the state of Florida. Now, if you go to Costa Rica, those American crocodiles will eat you the minute you touch the water. Like they're not scared of you. So it's interesting how the diversity is. I wonder if it's because they were so endangered here, as you well know, Ben, that we had to stay away from them. They were out on like the power plants in South Florida and stuff, and people kind of never got near them. So they retain quite a fear of people, as where alligators are.
Right.
That's an interesting thing to study. I want to look into that now because that's very interesting. Now I know you're Croc. I've been out there catching with you.
Yeah, you ran into a tree and knocked yourself out.
I almost cleaned my clock on that one, dude. I remember that.
That was a good one.
Yeah, it was hot as hell that day.
But hey, we need to do another Gator Bull Roundup probably in November.
Okay.
So I want to like probably get like 12, guys and girls. I don't want like 20. Don't need that many.
Call whoever you want, man. I'll help you.
Hey, 1 second. I lost my earpiece.
That's okay. Look at that sunset back there. I keep calling
I know,
it
right?
Arizona.
Probably the only time of day you can get out there. It's nasty out today.
Oh, it was 108 degrees outside today,
That's horrible.
and I had to work in it.
Who wants to live like that? 108 degrees.
That's the depths of hell, brother.
I'm telling you, it's hot out there too. Not a lot of breeze, huh?
Yeah, no shade. It's hot. We're busy.
Well, you know, I watch you doing your shows and stuff during the day. You know, I see you put up when you're bringing people in there, and you got to figure that his park, guys, is a lot of water, right? And it's all fenced in, and it's surrounded by a lot of different things. Like there's a lot of bushes and trees, so all that has to be like a steamy, boiling pot of just humid heat.
And we sit down in a bowl.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't realize, man, that the sun reflects off that water.
Right.
So you're on that much water, like it's just burning you from all angles. It's not like you can get away from it there. You know, when you're out on that walkway, man, it's coming down, it's coming up, it's coming sideways. That's a lot, man. So hats off to you, dude.
But I think the Bull Gator Roundup we're gonna do around November because I got a bunch of gators on the Croc side we got to get out.
Okay.
And so we'll get like couple 10, 12 cool dudes, go catch them up, cook some gator tail ribs, all that stuff. But like I said, we got the Hatching Fest coming up August 19th through September 4th. You can make your reservations. I'm going to go ahead and plug it. I don't know why I don't get paid extra for
people
it.
need to go out there and do it. So what he's talking about Hatch Fest is, folks, is if you go out to Hatch Fest, you can actually hold the alligators while they're hatching.
I lost you.
I was just telling them that you guys can hold the alligators while they're hatching.
Oh, yeah. We're going to give you an egg right before it hatches, and then once we put it in your hands, the alligator pops out of the egg.
That's awesome.
It's really
People
cool.
love it, man. They love
it's a once-in-a-lifetime experience.
It is.
Except for we had this family come from California. They flew their daughter every year for 18 years so she could hatch an alligator.
That's really awesome.
Like, that was pretty cool.
You know, like when you're sitting there watching the Jurassic Park, the egg open up and the little eye pops out and then they come crawling out. That's like a Jurassic Park moment. It's really cool.
To me, the Jurassic Park moments are 6:30 in the morning at the park when the gators start bellowing.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure.
And you can feel the bridge shaking. It's like, oh my gosh.
We had an alligator with us, Ben, on the show. Jimmy and I were just up in Virginia. And this big truck, lifted pickup truck, went behind us and was playing some rap music. And the bass was so strong, it made the alligator bellow in the wrestling pool. And Jimmy said, of all the years I've been doing this, never on the road has one decided to start bellowing. Because normally, you know, they're a little tense. They don't really want to be out all that. But this one was so comfortable. He just stood up and bellowed and shook all the water off his back. And the people were just in awe. And he was like, well, I'm just going to let this go in the show for a minute because this is not something people get to see all the time. We're in Virginia. Yeah. Pickup truck goes by playing some rap music. And the gator was like, oh.
No, what I want to do is I want to get on the back of an alligator when it's bellowing.
And then big ones you got, that'll be fun. That'd be like one of those old 1980s hotels where you put the quarter in the bed.
Oh, and you're right.
And it rotates and its heart shakes.
Shakes. It shakes you.
It's like an electronic bull with an alligator.
It would be actually really good. It's actually really funny stuff.
Mechanical bull.
Go ahead, man. Shoot. What's up?
No, I heard you all talking about hunting, like trophy hunting and all that stuff.
Just killing stuff pointlessly, you know, like
that's stupid. That's stupid.
Yeah, and
but like I hunt. I'm not gonna say I don't hunt animals, but I don't trophy hunt. You know, like I hunt hogs mainly because they're invasive. They don't belong here. They tear up the farmland. I use dogs. So I have to train my dogs how to bay and catch. And then I have to go in there and catch the hog and tie him up. Yep. You know, and that hog can cut your artery and, you know, you can bleed out. And where I live, I'm 30 minutes from a hospital.
They're really no joke. And another thing, they're pretty damaging. They'll dig an alligator nest. They'll dig up a lot of stuff. They'll ruin, they'll ruin all his all of his stuff out there.
Yeah.
What I was talking about, Ben, this is what I was talking about. There are these, you know how when you find an alligator in the wild and he's 12, 13, 14 feet, right?
Right.
You know how old that animal is, man? in the wild? Why go out there and take that thing for what? You can't. It tastes like shit. A big alligator like that, it's gonna taste like garbage. So the
There's
only
no
reason to
sport
kill
in
that thing,
Right. That's all.
you're not doing
That's
anything.
That's the guy that wants to put something on his wall and be like, "Yeah, I killed a 13-foot alligator."
Exactly, because when
You
you're
know.
culling animals or you're eliminating old elk,
Right.
or
Bad genetics.
different,
Bad genetics.
or population control.
Right.
With some of the big mammals like moose and deer and stuff like that.
Yeah, that'd be a fun one.
they'll take the old animals
You
out.
ever see one up close? They're freaking huge.
They're amazing.
But then you can eat it yourself, and the meat is the best thing for you.
Yeah, but killing big alligators, man, I really believe this.
Yeah.
Over time, we haven't been seeing those big alligators run anymore. You're wiping out that DNA.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
There are
true.
some alligators that are just fucking bigger than other alligators. You kill them all.
Yeah.
Now they're doing day hunts, all right? And they're letting people fly drones. I think you should have to hunt alligators at night like we used to.
If you need
Yeah,
a
it's
drone to
harder.
find and kill
It's
an
harder.
alligator, you're in trouble.
But if you go pay someone, they're like, yeah, we're going to drive you out here to old, that's old Goliath. We're going to let you blow him away. You pull the boat up, he just lays here and you blast him.
Right.
I just don't understand.
It's ridiculous.
And during the day, isn't an alligator on land? He's pretty in his zone. He's not thinking about. He's just chilling,
He'll just
man.
sit there.
Other alligators sit with other alligators on land that will not sit with that same alligator in the water. So it's almost like cool ground, man.
Right. Yeah. You know how much people will pay $500 to go ride around on a 5-acre track to kill a hog?
I know. Just to kill
It's
something.
stupid. Just to kill it.
Yep.
They don't want the meat.
That's like up in Washington when we took out. There was a trophy bear hunter who pissed me off again.
Wait.
Hold on. He shot and killed a crossbred between a grizzly and a polar bear.
Oh yeah, that was messed up.
Because he wasn't supposed to shoot that. That's not what he had a tag for.
Exactly.
Right.
He shot it because it was rare in color, and he thought it was going to be this big win. He ended up getting a lot of fines for it and a lot of trouble for it. However, it just pissed me off because it's happening, and it's a scientific study of how it's happening. They want to know how and where the cross is happening. But this guy just was so, overcompensating much for himself. So then he had, like Ben said, look what I took out. And he took out something really incredible. And I can't stand trophy hunting. To me, that's not a sport. I have no respect for you or it. It's not the same thing.
But when you train your dogs to catch a hog and you have a dog that baits it, and then you have another one, and they have Kevlar suits on, and they go in there and catch a hog, like, to me, that's a sport. It's like flying a hawk to catch a squirrel.
Exactly. You're like the eagle hunters, those guys that use those eagles. That's awesome.
Yeah.
But you're also doing something, too, for basically the ecosystem here.
Sure.
Like, they're destroying farmlands.
Exactly.
You're doing something for the cause. And
he's feeding his animals.
That's what I mean. And you're doing something with the meat. It's not just an unnecessary kill because you want to overcompensate for your petty little life. Like, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That's how I feel.
I fed Salty. Like, I fed Salty a watermelon the other day, and I wanted to eat it. So, my life, it is what it is.
Yeah.
This is what I'm saying. If I was out, say I was out somewhere and we're looking at moose and I'm with Ben, and we're out in the woods and he's hunting the moose and I'm with him, I think that if a huge blue-eyed leucistic moose walked up, I don't think Ben would shoot it.
No, I'd rope it.
Exactly.
Ride it home.
Back home.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
I wouldn't even put a saddle on it.
Just ride it bareback.
Yep.
Yeah, Gatorama the next afternoon. But I just think that there are certain things that sometimes you got to go respect. I'm gonna let you go, man.
Exactly.
You come across an alligator that's 14 feet in the wild, he doesn't deserve death.
No.
People will pay to go see him. You could take people out there to see him in his environment.
Yeah.
And they do regulate the water systems at that high. They let so many males through. There were studies where they were finding a bunch of drowned female alligators because they had wiped all these big alligators out. And it just got to be a free-for-all back there, right? But big bull alligators, they maintain a lot of that. It's its own ecosystem.
Yeah.
And so when you kill a lot, they don't copulate when they're that size. Once they get to be about 14 feet, they're just they've served their purpose. They're living, man. Now they're just eating and cleaning up the waterways. So it's an old guy on his porch relaxing, man.
Where's the sport in killing a 14-foot alligator when you could literally just walk up, straddle its head, and shoot it? It's not going to go anywhere.
It's so you can have it, and I mean, but it's just the way.
It's like this. It's like somebody that drives a big truck.
Yeah, they have little dicks.
Exactly.
They got to have a big alligator head on their fucking wall.
Exactly.
You need those big trucks sometimes.
Yeah. My Tacoma works, though. My Tacoma works.
Craig Warren, Ben, is on here, and he said that 14-foot gator is an expert at gator holes needed for the ecosystem. And he's right. Now he's
very
old
true.
Craig Warren, is from original OG Gatorland pre-Flavio, so he's been around a long time. Craig's the man. I love Craig.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever met him, but I'd love to meet him one day.
And he's gonna come out to Gatorama. He's awesome. We gotta do a little tour, Craig. You gotta come meet me. We don't live far away. Let's
Motley Croc trip down to Gatorama.
Yeah, go see.
I
haven't seen Ben.
Hey, we can do it in the face-to-face box.
There you go.
Bring a bunch of gators around us. I was going to create a podcast. I'm just not there yet.
The face-to-face. That's awesome.
That's awesome. The face-to-face.
I love those alligators.
It's insane, actually.
I bet it is.
Sounds cool as hell.
I mean, it's neat to watch them walk up like that. But I learned the other day I had white Crocs on. Okay. And Spike, we used to feed white chickens, back in the 80s. He saw my white shoes and he just hauled ass at me. And I was like, oh my God. So I'm running backwards. And usually when they walk up to me, their heads, pointed upwards. And he was locked into my feet. And I just took off running. And so I was like, well, let's see what happens next day. Next day, same thing. So that was kind of weird that he picked up on somebody wearing white shoes and
and that's what I'm saying. A lot of people don't understand that when alligator he wasn't trying to eat Ben. For those of you listening, he just thought that Ben was wearing two chickens on his feet. He wanted that chicken.
Right, but if I would have fell and he grabbed one of those two chickens on my feet, he would eat me.
He would have ate Ben. He would have ate Ben. But
it was over.
Initially, he's also a conditioned gator. Initially, he didn't want Ben. He just wanted Ben's shoes.
Yeah, I just
a lot of people
go,
I'm scared to go outside because alligators will stalk and kill you. And I'm like, that's just not true, guys. That's absolutely not true.
No,
you can't blame an alligator for doing alligator things. I say that a lot.
Exactly. It's so true.
I always tell people that, they're like, does it bite? And I'm like, I have a mouth I could bite.
Yep.
Exactly.
Doesn't mean I will.
After the snakes bite, it shows. Anything with a mouth bite.
Nowadays, people get insulted. They'll say, well, anything with a mouth has capability of biting, and they're like, oh, that's real cute.
That's true, though.
But the problem is when you're demonizing something for so long. First of all, let me just explain this. There's no natural fear of crocodilians. It's a learned behavior.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, a fear of snakes is called ophidiophobia. That is a real chemical fear.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So when you're teaching people I don't teach people to be scared of alligators. I teach them to stay away from them when we're doing our exhibits. They're like, you're in there feeding them. I go, most of these were nuisance gators that we didn't want to kill or the trapper thought was cool and we didn't want to kill. We have them. So now they're ambassadors or we kill them. So what would you rather us do, right? So we go in here. This animal can never go back in the wild again. Ben knows that. None of his animals.
No, you can't relocate them.
Nope. And there's
once it's a nuisance, it's always a nuisance.
Yeah. Exactly.
But those are the easiest alligators to train.
Yeah, isn't that funny? So when they get to Ben, Ben's are one of the rare places that can take that quantity of alligators or that size. Not most people can't just take a 14-foot alligator. There's not many people around that can do that. So usually the animal gets put down. You know what saddens me about that is alligators are not shitty creatures. They're actually really wonderful, smart animals. And what happens is people that don't know Florida, an alligator's crossing one pond to go to the next pond, and they call it in. And once that's called in, they have to go. And if it isn't Ben that can take him back and throw him with his gators, it's someone that has to go out there and kill it. And all it was simply doing was minding its business. So when you make Karen calls, oh, there's an alligator here, my kid, and he's 100 yards away trying to get in the next thing he wants to do with you, or get confused and get lost because we've dug a bunch of fake ponds now and they're sensing and smelling water, and we kill them because they're just trying to do what they do.
Yeah.
And
I'm digging some ponds on my property right now next to my neighbor's fence line.
I I like what you're doing with that, Ben, and I think I'd like to do that too, just to agitate everyone. I think that
Just like not have real alligators in there, but fence them in. And
yeah,
just put fake alligators in there, just that,
yeah. Put the biggest fake alligator you can there, and make the fence as small as possible. Danger, keep kids away.
These are the same
those
people
are like,
that their dogs tried to attack me and my son, my wife, and I couldn't bring myself to shoot their dogs.
Exactly. Well, that was heat. Not everybody would be like that. That's for sure.
It's probably not the dogs that need to be shot in that
No,
situation.
exactly. But I go to jail for shooting that. But shooting
Now, there's
dogs
some
would get away.
Shithead, but I keep them away from people.
Now, like Ben, I've been working alligators a long time in my life, and there's some alligators that you could never not could be out of our possession or put back in the wild or considered a nuisance. There are alligators that they'll go after somebody straight up, don't give a fuck. There has been some sidewinder gators on it. Don't trust me. So
Wasn't Flavio saying that you can take a? Wasn't Flavio saying you can take a nuisance alligator and make them a nuisance?
You make him unnuisance?
If that's a word.
No, but you can. I was going to get to that. So some alligators, like people, you have, your elevator doesn't go all the way upstairs, right?
Yeah,
there are animals that suffer with that type of stuff. So you have animals that have mental illness. I'm going to use a good word, mental illness. So they're not going to think straight. Their chemicals mix just like ours, and they could go after anything that moves, or they're killing other alligators. I mean, there's really a lot of things that can happen. We have one alligator that Jimmy brought us that I guess was a nuisance alligator, and they found him. I guess he was a golf course gator. He's the best alligator we have at the hotel. The best. He learned, he was only in captivity for under 2 months, and he already learned to be the best, where he would come up, he'll take food gently out of your hand, you can pet him. Now, the farm gators that were raised that we pick up, those some bitches don't care if they take your finger off in a feeding frenzy. So I think Ben has something when he said that nuisance alligators can be trained, and Flavio was saying that. I think it's very true. Big alligators like that too are smart. Don't forget they didn't get
what about learned behavior?
Oh, like
this,
feeding?
Because I'll do face to face, and then I'll have a nuisance alligator just come up, and all of a sudden he's like doing exactly what I'm asking the other alligators to do.
Learn because he's copying the other gators. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's a learned behavior, right?
Here's an example of learned behavior too, Ben. And I tell people this: you take your hand like this, and you can go like this.
Do that again. I couldn't see it. I'm on my iPhone.
They'll reach in and they'll take their hands and they'll throw outward just like this, like they're throwing something.
Right.
So a lot of alligators off all those little docks where people feed the birds and the turtles.
Yeah.
You can see a big alligator. Look at him. Just throw your arms this way. He'll start coming because he's already learned that just that. You could go, hey, look, a bird. He sees that movement, that outward stretch of the arms. We'll bring him in. You know those alligators are fed. And you know that people are causing that, and they learn fast. Alligators have nothing better to do but lay there and watch.
I think they think ahead of us.
Exactly. You mean waiting to exploit your mistakes?
Especially like when you I hate the word wrestle, but when you freehand capture an alligator.
Yep.
And you've done it with that alligator for 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 times. He knows what your next move is.
Yes, he does. And he can feel it as slightly as how much pressure you put on the side of his body.
Yep. Yeah.
You're dead right on that. And they will. And I've always said a crocodile will look for its best way to exploit your weakness if you let it. I think you have to earn the respect of crocodiles. And I've seen crocodiles just hate people. And then other crocodile, that same crocodile, somebody else can go in there and he actually likes that person. That's a true. I'm sorry. That's the way it is.
I think it's because, that person may have spent a lot of time with that crocodile.
Yep.
And then the other person that has a salty or an alligator or a Nile has spent 5 to 6 years with it and doesn't understand it.
Exactly.
I don't know.
They also look at things like we had an alligator at one of the zoos that Flavio were at, and it just didn't like women. And one of our employees had really, really long hair like Brittany's. And he was in there helping me. And that gave.
Are you making fun of my mullet?
No, it had this person had really long hair, and it was down that day, and all that crocodile did was see that ponytail, and it was like, I don't care about you or anybody in here, I'm going for that guy. And it was like blew out of the water 100 miles an hour. And then we realized what it was. And then we have Dominic, and he doesn't like big people. I'm trying to be nice. He doesn't like big people. So if Flavio would take a big person in there, and that croc tried to run him down every time. But we could go in there and scrub him with a toothbrush and clean his head. He just didn't like the way that person looked. He didn't like round people. He just didn't like it. And so that could come from another thing. Someone stepped on him when he was little. That was big. Or somebody hurt him or slapped him. That looked like that.
And broke his
I don't
back.
like you. Fuck you. I'm bigger now. I'll kill you.
So
I was
Jeff,
just going to ask that if it was a recognition thing from a past incident. I was just going to ask that question.
Yeah, probably. Go ahead, Ben.
I would disagree with that because a lot of the alligators that I've trained are nuisance alligators that I've caught on hooks with fishing poles and treble hooks.
Okay.
And, you know, I don't think they hold that against me.
I don't know.
Was that your question?
Was that your question, Brittany?
No, I was just saying in general, like when animals pick a certain individual, like or a certain type of person, that's just something that they're not. You know, in some cases with certain animals, even when in trainers, when I was training a lot of like the fluffy animals, they had certain behavioral things that it was because somebody did something to them that looked this particular way. Even in bird training, if I got a bird or a parrot that had been abused or not well taken care of by a male or a female, from that point on, they did not like that sex. They did not like that individual, or even if that individual had the same color hair, they would go nuts. So I was just curious if Croc's behavior or alligator behavior were similar to that nature in the sense of you remind me of. Maybe it's the way they look, their gestures, their mannerisms. If they register that in their brain, that it's like that person reminds me of that. I don't like you. Be no difference in how we are in general.
Hey, what did Brian Love say? I've been talking to him on the phone. I can't read it.
Okay,
read it to me.
Okay, I'll do that. Merlin said, "Whatever happened to Nathan, Nate the Trapper?" Brian Love's response was, he said he'd rather shoot Trapper in the head than have him go to a good home. Trapper was eventually confiscated from Nate after he abandoned all the animals and left them caged to die. That was his response.
Yeah, that's a long story.
Yes, it is. And it is, Craig said, right, I've seen lately many trainers have taught their gators it's fun to chase their trainer around the pen because they run from him. Yeah. Ben does that.
That's enrichment and it's exercise.
Yep. I love how you do it with that big salty.
It's fun, dude.
It's funny, too. That big thing comes running out and you kind of go and you hit the wall and he dives. That's great. It's like you're training a dolphin. It's awesome.
But, yeah, my dad did that back in 1990. And I've been doing it. I've been doing it since probably, well, technically since I was 18. But, 22 years.
Well, you grew up on a crocodile alligator farm, so I'm sure you know your shit.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I think I'm just.
What I think Ben knows, what I think is interesting is there's organic learning and then there's book learning or people telling you something. And
yes.
Ben has seen it. When you live with, that's why I try to tell people I have animals here that I've lived with from the time they were born to the time they're 20 years old or whatever. And I watched every little behavior from every little thing. And I start to learn about alpha alligators and sigma alligators and who runs what. And the loudmouth isn't running the pod, it's the guy in the back. And there's so many different things about behavior with alligators. And I've had the honor of talking and becoming friends with Greg LaPera and Clint Bleet. Those guys are awesome.
Yep. They're
Ken
smart.
Bleet is awesome. Yep. And he's out there. He's not like sitting, he's out there in it. And we've had some great conversations. And I've learned a lot. Those guys have taught me a lot just because that's what they do. And so, if you guys want to learn stuff, you seek people out like Ben or people that say you want to work at a park or you want to learn something, go learn about it.
Yeah, but I don't have a degree.
But not everybody can run a park. It's a little different dealing with
it's way different.
Running a park. He's got people to manage. He's got animals to make sure he's got wealth and check.
I got bills to pay. I got equipment to fix. I got septic tanks to install. People think it's easy and they want to work there, but I'm like, all right, you're going to spend 90% raking and shoveling poo-poo.
Beginner's guy said, why don't they drug them like Thailand tigers? You could. I mean, it's very hard. If you understand veterinary medicine.
Drug the alligators?
Veterinary medicine and reptiles, it's not really, it's just not good for them. There's things that's very hard to do, and you have to be very
careful. A lot of differences.
Yeah.
So, you could over-sedate by accident and kill that animal. I mean, that's just, And I got to give it up. Crocodiles they're one of my favorite things. And I've worked with a lot of crocs, and there's people who may or may not disagree with me. A few people have. I have Cubans and I have other crocodiles. I've worked with Ben's Cubans. They're fucking insane.
They're nuts.
Insane, dude. I love it. They're awesome. But I think American crocodiles to this day still are one of the most intelligent ones I've ever worked with. Their ability to reason and think and the way they act, in my experience, has been one of the top
smart.
from all the ones I've got to be with.
I think Cubans are smarter.
Maybe. I always thought they were a little.
Like ever since they ripped that food, they ripped that food pouch off my waist.
Yeah, I saw that.
I trained them to go into a box.
Oh, no, you're getting your turn.
Yeah, and they do a lot of that. Even at Zoo Miami, they train the Cubans will run up in a line and feed and those things.
Right.
But what I'm saying is, when I deal with American crocodiles, their ability and how fast they learn, how fast, and I'm having fun now because I've got an Orinoco and she's like doing things that an adult would do when you give commands, like just certain movements. So I'm really impressed with her. So I want to see how that goes. But Americans are just quicker. Like the Cubans are constantly trying you, and then they figure something out. Oh well, we'll get this if we do this. But the Americans the way they study is just, and they know that. You know what I mean, Ben? When you go to like down to the Everglades, they know those crocodiles laying there on those ramps. In their head, they know they could snatch those little kids down there.
Right.
Purpers. That
They're just waiting for the right kid.
Yeah.
And if you're not around American crocs, let me tell you how fast those things move. Fast. You're not getting away. You're not getting away.
Super fast, dude.
Yeah. I remember
Jeff, I need to talk to you about some hognose, brother.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that, man. I got a bunch of stuff that just hatched, so I could send you some pictures and take a spin down to your neck of the woods one of these days.
Yeah, I heard you talking about Kara. They're all over the place here.
I love caracara. It's they're one of my favorite birds.
So, but I want to get some hognose.
Yeah, definitely.
And I need some lemurs, Troy.
Yeah, well,
nice.
you got your buddy with lemurs. Justin, get you lemurs.
Yeah.
I haven't produced any. I don't produce them. I know he knows places that happen. Well, you know what? There are people we can talk to. I'll line you up with somebody that does.
You're trying to kill me.
And Barbie, I want to go see some UFOs.
What are you thinking about putting in your pack?
Ben.
I got some cool stuff, Katie.
He said, "In Barbie, I want to go see some UFOs."
Yeah, that's awesome. What are you looking for?
I've seen one. I've seen one.
Have you seen something out? Yeah, well, where he is in the middle of nowhere. Why don't you talk?
No, this was like 20 years ago, and my mom and dad swear they've seen one, like in the 60s or 70s.
I'm sure you have that. Why wouldn't you?
I believe it.
Why
I feel
not?
like a lot more people saw them in the 60s and 70s. It was all the drugs, man.
I don't think it was the drugs, dude.
I saw
they were
one
there.
in the Arizona desert driving home from Vegas.
It's always so clear out west that the skies are so clear. It's very hard to miss anything in the sky.
Yeah, there's no light pollution either.
Exactly.
That's the same way
That's
as-
the biggest issue.
Like,
Yeah, we
I
were.
live,
Go ahead, buddy.
no, I was just saying I live in Venus, dude, and there's like no light.
Yeah, it's jet
Like, I
black
see
out there, just like
everything.
out where Jimmy is in Ocala. There's hardly any
Yeah.
light pollution.
Oh, I love
Beautiful.
places like that with just no light and stars. And I've
Justin
been a
and I
city
were
kid
up in
most of
the,
my life, so
We were up in the up near the Saguaro National Monument in Arizona, and we were touring out there, and we climbed to the top. We were way up there at night, dude. It's almost like you could have grabbed a star out of the sky, man. It was unbelievable. The Arizona skies, man.
There's just nothing like the desert sky. There's nothing
Yep.
like it.
I miss
It's
the desert.
beautiful.
I'd love to move back to Arizona or New Mexico.
Arizona's awesome.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever been out of Florida.
Well, it's time to do it, buddy.
Nah, I've been to Texas, North Carolina, up north.
Well, that is Florida. That's all Florida.
Arizona would be cool.
Arizona's awesome. A whole new set of
Yeah.
wildlife. You know, all the dry animals. And,
It's wild. It is. It really is. It's a beautiful place.
16 variety of rattlesnake.
So, what would be y'all's ultimate herping trip anywhere in the world?
I got to say Australia.
Yeah.
Definitely not New Zealand or Hawaii. No snakes.
A lot of hog hunting over there.
Yep. Definitely hogs. Not my kind of hogs, but you know. Galapagos, Komodo. I mean, there's so many. Again.
See, I think if somebody, if I was there, I would probably say the Galapagos.
Right. New Caledonia.
Just because so many things started from there, and Madagascar would probably be the two places I would want to see.
Madagascar would be really fun.
Amazing.
I know everybody
Yeah.
goes, oh, Australia and this and that. But it would be cool. It would be cool, but I really think over that, if I only got to do the 2 out of the 3, I would definitely go to Madagascar and definitely go to Galapagos for sure.
Oh, I think I'd rather go jungle than bush, I think.
Now,
Yeah.
one of the oldest
I-
rainforests in the world is in Australia. The original, the OG rainforest jungle, is in
Really?
Australia. And that's where the cassowaries come from.
Yeah.
Where was this?
Australia has
Australia?
the oldest rainforest in the world.
I believe that.
You know, according to the studies that they put down on Nat Geo. But we looked at where they come from and how long that rainforest has been there from, the separation. And, there are tours that go there and people go to see cassowary. And you can't always see them. They live in such a dense part of the jungle that they very rarely seem like that in that part. And then there's other places where they'll come out onto the islands. And you have the Philippine, which is a single wattle. And that's a really, really cool. That's a badass looking cassowary. It's more
Now,
red,
do
fiery orange.
they attack you, or are they trainable?
Well, I have one that'll sit when you ask it to, and you can. It comes to people for nurturing. I mean, it's a great animal. As with any animal, it depends on that animal's personality. Honestly, Ben,
Right.
you start them young and you spend a lot of time with them, you'll get a different relationship than when you buy certain animals and then breed them or stick them out alone. I mean, when you let them get feral behavior, when you allow an animal to get its feral behavior, then that's when you'll have an issue.
Right. It's like my kinkajous. I have the sweetest kinkajous in the world.
I love the kinkajou down in
But
Yeah,
I
you
bottle-
spend time with them.
I bottle feed them from day one because the mother rejects them.
I love those things.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Lots of work, man. 2 hours you got to feed them every 2 hours.
Damn.
Tough.
That's like
Tony
bird
Caprenti said
feeding.
he'd go to the Himalayas to look so he could look for the Yeti.
Yeti. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just gonna
Yeah.
say
I have-
that. It's like,
I have
you
Yetis.
gotta
I
go
have them
over
right
the
here. It's
Yeti.
good. I have a Yeti right here. We're good.
What about climbing Mount Everest?
You
I know there's no herbs.
That's a lot of work, man. That seems like a lot of work.
Life's work, bro.
Yeah, no, it'd be cool.
I think I would actually want to go over to the Solomon Islands, but I want to go to Papua New Guinea.
So,
And
yeah.
always
Papua New Guinea and
discovering-
Solomon Islands, you see a lot of cool shit.
Well, they're
Cool
always
monitors
discovering new
and-
things. Like, because it's so uncharted and so
Those-
dense, they're discovering new things left and right there. Like, I feel like we have uncharted history just waiting to be discovered in Papua New Guinea. Like, I would love to go there.
You just don't want to end up in some pygmy stock pot.
Exactly. Yeah, that too. But I mean, just in general, I mean, the research and surveying coming from there it's uncharted. It's amazing.
I think like the Congo, somewhere in Africa, deep in the jungle, would be fun.
Oh, without a doubt. I've never done South American jungles. I've been to South America, but I really never got to explore
Fiji.
the Amazon, and that would be amazing to me too.
Dude, I've never left the country. I went to the Bahamas and worked.
Where
We
did
worked
you go to
4
Fiji?
hours and fished 4 hours.
Yeah, I did. I went to Fiji. I stayed there for one night on my way to Tahiti, and I was in Tahiti for 9 days.
Oh, Tahiti sounds amazing.
And then Beginner's Guide said Arizona sucks.
I loved
All
Arizona.
right.
I lived there for years.
All right, can't be friends now. No,
That's a good one, Buzz. That's a good one. Indonesia and the Komodo Island would be
Komodo
Oh,
cool.
without a
Islands.
doubt.
Yeah,
Yep.
for sure.
Those would be
Indonesia
really
would be
good ones.
Southeast Asia in general. Big
Brett's quiet,
pythons
Brett.
and
Where do you want to go?
I've always wanted to see like the mountains of Japan.
there you
Yeah.
go, Mount
Through
Fuji and
that.
such.
That's a beautiful country out there. I'd love to go see that. Absolutely.
Yeah, really. You know, I want to go to that suicide forest.
Oh, we're disoriented too. Yeah, it gets
I
you
really
all
want to do
messed
that.
up.
I would like to go to the suicide forest and just go there and do just research.
Yeah.
You know, not explore it, not video it, not do a
honestly-
show. I just want to go there and be in the presence of that.
Yeah, I think what's really going on in that forest is true high magnetic fields, and it's making them disoriented and really getting you confused. I
But they
really do.
purposely go there and kill themselves. That's what they do. So
Well, yeah. I mean, you're just never found. You just go there
what,
quietly.
hundreds of years, maybe thousands. I mean,
Yeah.
I
Place
find
must
that
smell
interesting
terrible.
because or they know they're going to die and they go there to finish themselves, and I think that that's okay too. Elephants do it; they go to a spot to die. So
Bears do it.
I always thought that was very interesting. There was a YouTube channel guy that went there one time, and he actually he found a recent suicide. They had to stop all the filming and call in the law enforcement, whatever it was there. If you remember, I can't remember his name. It was It's real popular, dude, man. He was one of the originals from like Vine and all that.
Oh, wow. I know.
What
He just
about-
got his ass kicked by a fighter. What was his name? You know what I mean, Jeff? Some fighter he was challenging this guy, this MMA fighter, and dude just whipped his ass.
Jake Paul?
It was all over the fucking place. What was his name?
Wait, what was he
There's
from?
two
originally?
brothers. There's two brothers. They have YouTube channels. They're brothers. They have blonde hair. I'm trying to remember who it was, dude. You'll find it, Brittany, if you're looking it up. But he's
So
the one
what
that
about-
found that, and you can actually see it on YouTube.
What about being dropped off in the forest for 30 days, only water, and you had to catch and survive off what you can catch and harvest?
I would
No,
do
if I
that.
had water, no problem.
I would do
Water's
that.
the hard part.
Yeah.
It's, you know, I
Or they-
watched,
Logan Paul. Thank you, Merlin. Logan Paul.
Logan Paul, yeah.
Yeah, Logan Paul. Jake and Logan Paul.
Yep.
Yes, Greg. He was in the suicide forest. That's where he went. And he was doing a YouTube thing in there about just going through there. And he was being respectful. He's just like, this is a quiet place. It's an eerie place. And then they like came across and they found an actual body that had just recently committed suicide there. And so they stopped everything. But I like the documentaries, and they go in there, and people come in, don't come out, and there's, they're found, and they go in every time, and sometimes they find bodies that have been in there 50 years. That
They made a movie off of that. The girl was like, they made a movie. I actually watched it. It was a few years back. John and I watched it. It was her and her twin sister went missing.
Okay.
And went basically, but she didn't go to like do anything to herself. Ended up meeting this individual who took her into the forest and was telling her about it. She got disoriented and lost, and ended up taking her life in the forest. Like
Well,
they found
everything
her
is-
in there.
Well, we all know
It's a
everything's
very
energy-based.
interesting movie.
Everything is energy based, right? It triggers a chemical. And in that amount of volume of that type, I guess that would have to be. I don't know how many of you have been to the wall in Washington, D.C., but that's a humbling experience too. So,
It is.
Yep.
Yeah, it is.
you think
So
about
is
all
the
those
Vietnam-
people.
The Vietnam War, too.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I think about, I used to take my grandfather as a World War II veteran. I used to take him up there, and other World War II veterans would be there, and they would just run into each other in like this group, and they wouldn't even speak. They would just sit there and look at each other for what seemed like hours. I know it was only like 10 minutes, and then they would start to talk. But it was like this really humbling thing. And that energy, they all shared the same energy, and that's what I mean. So when you go to a place like that, you have to be able to understand and deflect certain energies, or you can get consumed. And people who are more, weaker in that sense, sometimes it'll get the best of them. So you definitely have to be mentally strong to do that. Just like
Thank you,
you're
Seth.
law enforcement, and your job is to catch pedophiles and child killers. You have to go in and look at babies that are ripped apart and killed, or stuffed in tubes, or just been raped, and you have to maintain your.
Okay.
And not many can do it. Not many.
I couldn't.
No, and not many people can do that. And there are some people, God bless them, because if they weren't there,
We wouldn't be able to help.
we wouldn't be
out.
protecting as many as we could. But it would take a certain type of person to do that. And I bet out of every 10 of them that deal with that, only one is mentally strong enough to erase it. I'm serious,
Oh, for sure.
because it's tough. And
you
so
can't unsee that.
I know, and you have to be mentally strong, and I think to handle those types of things, and even going into like a suicide forest or seeing that constantly would get the best of you if you weren't sure. So if you're a weaker person or an empath, and you feel everything around you all the time, it's probably not a good place to be around for a person like that, for their safety, unless they're with a group and they can be.
Swipe away, swipe away, swipe away.
Seth said it's called The Forest, Brittany. It's called The Forest.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw. I told him thank
I'll
you.
have to check it
Yeah.
out.
I
It's
definitely.
very good. It's very good.
What was that one movie that was really good? I don't know if you've seen it, Ben. I always think it's awesome because it was about the ancient Egyptian deities. And was it called Pyramid?
Where
Well,
they
there
have
was
the
one called-
sucus.
Yeah, remember when they went into this pyramid and they slammed shut and they were in there with the god with the wolf head? That movie was bad. I don't
Yeah,
care.
that was a pyramid, wasn't it?
The pyramid,
That
I
was
think.
intense. Yeah, that was.
Yeah, and it wasn't done
intense
cheesy.
film.
And
No.
I like horror movies and I like all that. And that reminds me, remember, we're going to be out there the 27th through the 29th at the Spooky Empire in Orlando.
Yeah.
We'll be out there. But yeah, and that in Dog Soldier. You guys want to see some good movies? Do you ever see Dog Soldier, Ben?
No, I watch Top Gun and comedies, dude.
I like Top Gun, but Dog Soldier was about werewolves. Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome movie about a colony of humans that were werewolves. You have to see it. It's an amazing movie. And it's not even like a mainstream. And like you see it and you're like, holy shit, that wasn't cheesy at all. Like it was done really good. And it was just an independent, and it was amazing.
Like a cult. It's like a cult movie.
Yeah. But it was done so realistic and so true to it. You know, it's worth seeing. It just had it all there. Yes, that's badass. Dog Soldiers has been around a while, and I remember seeing it. And one of the producers from Discovery goes, "You have to see this movie." Ever since then, I saw it.
Yeah.
But anyways, we are 20 minutes into the hour, so I'm going to go ahead and end the broadcast.
Sounds good to me.
Out. Then Ben, thank you for joining us tonight. It was good to.
No problem, dude. I've been up since 4 o'clock this morning with the news.
Yeah, so it's time to get laid down so you can get up at
time
4
to get to bed. Yeah, they gave me 5 hours notice. Hey, can you be there at 4:30? And I'm like, yeah.
I love it. He's like, yeah.
Yeah.
I gotta
Send me a
work.
message with your number, and then I'll text you tomorrow about some hogs.
Yeah, definitely.
So great.
Anytime y'all want to come down, come down.
Oh, definitely, man. I'll settle up Ruby. She'd love to come down there. She's 11. My daughter's
anytime, man.
Hi, Seth.
Thanks,
August is the best.
I'm off for 2 weeks in August around the Daytona show, so.
Perfect.
Yeah, so we'll definitely catch up. Ben, I'll catch up with you, man. We'll work out.
All right, man.
We'll meet
Y'all
up.
be good.
Flavio and I will meet back anyways.
It's time to go to bed.
All right, buddy.
Have a good night, Ben.
Be good, guys.
See you, bud.
See ya.
All right, guys, we're going to end the show. Thanks for everybody coming out and supporting and seeing us. I'm glad all the guests came in. Everybody who comes to see us, we appreciate you all and everybody. Thank you again. Have a great night. We'll see you next week.